you for joining us here on Halton News, right here on your TV. It's Tuesday, August 4th, and I'm Jessica Kading. There are currently only 17 active COVID-19 cases in the Halton region. Breaking that down by municipality, that's 5 active cases in Burlington, another 5 in Oakville, 7 in Milton, and Halton Hills is currently in the clear with 0 active cases. Flames and smoke could be seen through the rooftop of a townhome complex that caught fire this morning in Oakville. The fire marshal has assigned an investigator to determine the cause of the fire at a home on South Wind Terrace in Oakville's Bronte community. This footage was provided to us by Pierce Lang and shows Oakville fire crews working hard to battle the blaze. Reports so far suggest the fire started in the basement of one home and spread to at least 3 others. A portion of Marine Drive was shut down as fire crews worked to extinguish the fire, and there are still crews on the scene right now dealing with this situation that began at 10:30 this morning. Oakville's data company Innovex received $100,000 from the Ontario Together Fund. Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade Vic Fideli toured Innovex this morning to see how the new PPE response dashboard they are creating will help the whole province. Nikki Wesley reports.
Ontario Minister Vic Fideli visited Innovex after announcing the company will be receiving $100,000 from the Ontario Together Fund to help speed progress of their PPE response dashboard. Innovex is a software and data company that brings data together from various sources into what they call a data lake, providing insight so businesses can make decisions on the fly. CEO Rohit Shankar explains the original inspiration.
We started reaching out to our customers to find out how the pandemic may impact their organizations. And one of the biggest things that we realized, even before we went into an official shutdown, was that the PPE was going to be demanded by almost every aspect of our society, and that we were in a dire shortage of it.
After conferencing with existing customers, they were faced with a serious question.
What are we seeing here? You know, is there going to be shortages at the primary healthcare side? And do we have enough supply locally here in Ontario to addressing those? And so when we brought that together, we imagined that we needed a end-to-end visibility on how much we're producing and how much we're consuming.
Innovex has partnered with the Auto Parts Manufacturers Association and Trillium Network for Advanced Manufacturing to create a system that will collect, organize, and analyze PPE and healthcare data. The PPE response dashboard will help forecast the supply and demand by regions across the province and help advise proper distribution.
What's the strategy behind distributing it? Which region may be at a higher impact, right? Because if there's a regional outbreak, they may actually need to go and be addressed first, as opposed to another area which may not be as severely impacted. So having that visibility will allow us to direct the products where it's needed most. And right now, for PPE distribution into certain segments like long-term care or schools, that program is what we're helping to build, and in the future with vaccines, we hope to help build that part of the program as well.
Minister Fideli explains how the new dashboard may be able to help us predict shortfalls in supply.
First and foremost, this is really all about understanding the personal protective equipment and where we're going to need PPE and what the threats are that may stop the production of PPE. As an example, they gave a hurricane hits in the States and it affects oil. Oil is needed to make plastics, which are needed in our face shields. So it's this kind of predictive knowledge that we'll have, especially for PPE, but it can be used right across the healthcare system with any other immunities that are required in our healthcare.
Reporting for Halton News, I'm Nikki Wesley.
As Halton has moved into stage 3, it's important to remember we must continue the cleaning practices that we were also vigilant about at the outset of the pandemic in order to help prevent a huge second wave. Nikki Wesley takes us back to basics with expert Nicole Kenny.
Virox Technologies in Oakville is at the leading edge of disinfecting technology. As Halton has moved into stage 3, your TV reached out to Virox Vice President Nicole Kenny to check up on how we're doing and remind us of proper cleansing techniques.
From a disinfection perspective, and what we're seeing is that I think we need to go back to basics, and we have to understand that we might have learned how to clean from our parents, but they might have led us astray, and they weren't necessarily the best teachers, if you will.
While the general public uses terms like cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting interchangeably, there is a vast difference in meaning. It's important as we head out into the public in the new normal to know the difference so we can be informed about how well spaces have been cleansed before we were there.
So first is cleaning, and that's really, the physical removal of whatever dirt we're seeing on the surface. And that needs to be done in order to disinfect. So if we're looking at, I've got, a Petri plate. So assume that if I've swabbed a surface, I might be finding this amount of bacterial, viral pathogens, whatever is on the Petri plate on that surface. And so we need to be cleaning the soils in order for the disinfectant to be able to actually kill this. Then we're looking at sanitizing, which is just a reduction. Basically, we're making the surfaces safe. And this is what we're doing in hospitality, restaurants, daycare, schools. It doesn't mean that we need to disinfect to the level of hospitals, but we need to make certain that we've got a safe, healthy environment. And so basically, if we're looking at what happens next, we've removed a significant amount of bacteria. We've physically removed some viruses and fungi from here, so it becomes safer. But if we want to disinfect, that's really about making certain that we are allowing the disinfectant to stay on the surface, but we want to make certain that we're really killing everything. And so just that, one wipe is really not going to do as much as what we think we're doing, and so that's really kind of the important aspect.
What is the most important to be focusing on at home?
So we really want to focus on the high-touch surfaces and making certain that we're cleaning them with increased frequency. In fact, if we look at our kitchens and our bathrooms, there was a study that looked at what are the most germiest to the least germiest surfaces. And it was actually the most germy is the bathroom sink, followed by the kitchen counter, the bathroom faucet, common area doorknobs, and then the kitchen drawer knob. So where we might think is the dirtiest is actually not, and it's the bathroom sink that's the grossest. And so we do want to be thinking, we're washing our hands there, it makes sense. We're washing pathogens off, we're washing after we've used the washroom. So really it's about focusing on that. It's about focusing on, our TV remotes, our telephones, things that we're touching constantly, and making certain that we're physically cleaning and that we're using a disinfectant properly. And that's really how we can make certain we're cleaning and disinfecting appropriately at home.
For more information, go to beintheknow.education. Reporting for Halton News, I'm Nikki Wesley.
Of course, masks have also been mandated around Halton to help slow the spread of COVID-19 in our communities. Melissa Candelaria caught up with MP Adam Van Couverden to see how Miltonians have responded to that policy so far.
Overwhelmingly, Canadians, but specifically Miltonians and our neighbors, Haltonians, support the wearing of masks to prevent communication of this disease. It's very, very clear based on the evidence from science and the very fact that the way that the disease is transmitted is via droplets from your nose and mouth, that covering your nose and mouth when out and about, when you can't be socially distant, or when you're in a public indoor place or a public outdoor place like a bus stop or something like that, will help prevent community transmission. So something simple like this, you can also make one at home. I've got my Food Hero one today because hopefully we're going to talk about food security. But if you want to be patriotic, then we've also got one of these. And this is from Milton Masks. These cost less than $10. You can get them all over the place, but you can also make them at home. I actually cut the back of a sock using a video that I saw on the internet. It was a clean sock. And in a pinch, it works really well too. So make a mask, buy a mask, find a mask. If you need a mask, then contact my office. But I'm fully supportive of the mask bylaw. Everybody in Halton should be wearing one whenever you can. And I'm fully supportive, and I'm grateful for the decision that the region of Halton has made.
Of course, we did follow up and ask Adam Van Couverden about food scarcity as well and what you can do if you're in need in Halton.
Just recently, I was able and very, very grateful to make an announcement with respect to local food infrastructure with the Local Food Infrastructure Fund through Minister Bebo's office, and $36,000 for 2 local food security organizations. So both Community Living North Halton that runs the Lunchbox Cafe, if you've ever heard about it, it's a great place. to grab lunch on Nipissing, just south of Main Street, but then also Country Heritage Park, which is the location of our farmers market. But they also have a great farm, and they do a lot of important work on local food security. So food insecurity is defined as somebody's inability to access or to consume enough or a high enough quality of food and nutrients, and not an adequate amount. Reasons for this vary, but the most common reason is poverty. We live in a very, very fortunate, from a socioeconomic perspective, a very fortunate community, one that gives, and we can be very grateful for that, because the problem locally might be somewhat smaller than the problem nationwide or in some less fortunate communities. But that's not to suggest that we don't have need or vulnerable populations here in Milton and across Halton. So I was just on the phone recently with Halton Food for Life, and they sent around these masks to some food heroes. And when I went out and got my lunch today, I went to the Green Eatery just on Martin, Martin and Main. And I know they're working specifically on making sure that we end hunger in the Halton region. And I think it's a very achievable goal.
MP Van Couverton asks that you contact his office if you need any assistance with food, and they will help you find a hamper full of necessities for you and your family. Meanwhile, the demand seems to have leveled off for the Burlington Food Bank. There is concern, though, that once the CERB ends, food banks across the province will see another influx in demand. With today's update, here's the Executive Director of the Burlington Food Bank, Robin Bailey.
We've seen our numbers kind of level off. We usually come off of a long weekend pretty busy. It's a little bit quieter, which is good for us because it's allowing us to catch up on a lot of things that are going on today. We have fresh produce coming in today from our wholesalers. We also got a delivery from the Rogers Center today from Food Banks Canada. Again, we're the member of Food Banks Canada and Feed Ontario here in Burlington. So we're really appreciative of that partnership and their delivery today. So thank you so much to both of those. And also, we want to let people know that we're in a great spot as far as serving the community. It's my biggest fear is that there's people here in Burlington who are hungry and aren't getting the assistance that they need. We are totally able to do that. We're here to support you. We have a great community that supports us. So if you want to send us an email, info@burlingtonfoodbank.ca, or give us a call, 905-637-2273. And maybe even just make it part of your conversation that the food bank's around and able to help people out, because oftentimes people just don't know that we're here for them, and we're definitely here to support our community in whatever way we can.
The City of Burlington is pleased to announce that Mayor Mary Ann Mead Ward has been acclaimed to the large urban caucus of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. For more on what this means, I'll turn it over to Mayor Mary Ann Mead Ward herself.
AMO is a representative body that it's membership based. Burlington is a member. Most municipalities in Ontario are, and they advocate to the province. So they have caucuses that are part of their board that help provide input to inform that advocacy and the work of the AMO. So one of the caucuses is the large urban caucus. So that's municipalities over a certain size. And board members have to run for election at the AMO conference, which is happening in 2 weeks. And you have to get a resolution from your council to even stand for election. So my council unanimously passed a resolution endorsing my candidacy. There were 5 seats available for election this year on the large urban caucus, and 6 people running. One of them dropped out. So that meant all 5 of the rest of us were automatically acclaimed. So it's great to be part of that table. I know some of the people around the table already from the large urban mayors caucus of Ontario, completely separate, but we're trying to forge stronger links between the mayors tables and AMO. So that's one of my goals for sure, sitting around the large urban caucus at AMO.
I also asked the mayor what this new position means for us as residents in the city.
This means that you have a direct voice to the larger AMO board, which has the direct ear of the premier. So it is one way for us to make sure that the concerns of Burlington residents, Halton region residents, and broadly, the residents in the GTA, a lot of our issues are very similar. They're just different scale. So it gives us direct access to bring the voice of our residents forward, and ultimately to ministers of the Crown and to the Premier.
Thanks for being with us here on Halton News. We do need to take a short break now. We'll be back with some helpful tips from a local psychiatrist on what to do to help manage stress and those emotions. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Halton News. During times of stress, it can be even more difficult than normal to manage our emotions. So we've teamed up with a local psychiatrist who offers some advice.
This is Dr. Ashik Bhattacharya talking to you from the Empathy Clinic, where we're dedicated to improving the understanding of ourselves and each other. Now today I want to expand on what we've talked about before with triggers. Triggers are kind of like switches in our mind. So if we're having an emotion, that emotion can be triggered so it suddenly comes on or it can go off. So you might even know what the person's thinking or feeling because they're using words maybe, but they're not connecting their emotions to that. So instead of an on-off button, wouldn't it be kind of neat if we had a dimmer switch that went up with intensity, or we could tone it down with intensity, just like a dimmer switch or an electrical switch. So guess what? We actually do have that in our brain. And if we practice it, we can improve the way we communicate. That means that we can dial up or dial down the amount of emotion that we have with a message. So that our message has better packaging, which we talked about before. The better the packaging is for your message, the better your message is going to be remembered, the safer it's going to feel, and the longer it's going to have an impact on the person that you're communicating with. Also, if you model that for them, they can model the same thing right back to you. This improves your relationships, both at home, but also in the workplace. So practice your dimmer switch next time you're communicating. You'll notice a big difference. Thanks for your appreciation and understanding. Take care. Stay safe.
Some confusing weather out there today. While it started off sunny, it then started raining and then went back to sunny, and I think I might have just heard some thunder outside of our studio. But right now we are looking at tomorrow being a mix of sun and clouds, only reaching 24 degrees, so not quite as hot as it has been. 26 Thursday, Friday, and then 28 on Saturday. That's full sunshine for the later half of the week, and we're not looking at the chance of rain again until Sunday. That's a 60% chance. Cloud cover expected and a high of 27. Eligible small businesses will have an additional month of Canada Emergency Commercial Rent Assistance to help pay August rent charges. To qualify, you must have had your revenue decline by 70% during the months of April, May, and June. Businesses do need to reapply for qualification, and new applicants are welcome as well. Additionally, the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy has been extended until December 19th and is now accessible to a broader range of employers. A top-up subsidy of 25% for those hardest hit has also been introduced. For more information on this and the CERCA, please visit canada.ca. The deadline to register for the Milton Chamber of Commerce's 31st annual golf tournament presented by Cogeco is Friday, August 7th. The tournament will take place next Tuesday, August 11th at Granite Ridge Golf Course, and $165 plus HST includes golf and dinner, as well as contests and your ticket for the big raffle prizes. To register, please visit miltonchamber.ca. And now a look to how our top companies performed on the markets today. It's time for another short break, but we'll be back with some information for you on mental health and what you can do to keep yours well. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Halton News. I'm Jessica Kading. The pandemic has been really stressful on just about everyone, but some are really struggling with mental health issues. Halton Region's Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Hamida Magani, released this statement today with advice for us all.
As we get used to our new normal, recent reports from the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health and Statistics Canada show a significant sustained impact on our mental health. Some people continue to feel lonely and depressed as a result of COVID-19. Additionally, more Canadians are drinking more alcohol and consuming more unhealthy foods. While some level of stress can be healthy, the impact of prolonged stress makes it difficult to continue to cope. It could be another year or longer before our everyday life returns to a more familiar normal, so it's important to find ways to adapt and be resilient. This is especially true for those who have ongoing mental health needs, for vulnerable populations, for those who are out of work, involved in frontline work, or are at risk of getting severely ill. Take time to acknowledge the impact of recent stresses on your mental health. Remember, your mental health is just as important as your physical health, and taking care of yourself ensures you can be there for family, friends, and others who may be struggling. Here are some tips. Stay informed, but avoid too much exposure to media coverage. Structure your daily routine, such as when you go to bed, get up, exercise, eat, shower, dress, work, and clean. Stay focused by controlling what you can. Eat healthy, well-balanced meals. While it may be a little more challenging during barbecue season, try to focus on whole, plant-based foods as outlined in Canada's Food Guide. Be mindful of your alcohol, tobacco, and drug consumption. You can consult Canada's low-risk alcohol drinking guidelines for ways to reduce the health risks of alcohol consumption. You can also call 311 or Telehealth Ontario to get more assistance to quit smoking. Try to get enough sleep. If you're having problems sleeping, cut back on caffeine and avoid screen time before bed. Exercise regularly to help your body cope with stress. Even 10-minute sessions of physical activity can boost your health. Learn how to meditate or practice mindfulness. Stay positive by looking for opportunities to laugh and have fun. Connect with others outside your social circle regularly by phone, text, email, or video chat. Reach out to loved ones or call a mental health professional in the community if you need support. Remember to be patient with others. For some members of our community, public health measures such as physical distancing and wearing masks are especially difficult. And finally, resilience and hope are essential to the well-being of our community. Please share examples of positive stories whenever and wherever you are able. Visit halton.ca/COVID-19 and select the mental health tile for more information and mental health resources. Thank you for taking steps to help protect your health and the health of those you love. Stay informed, stay safe and healthy, and please be kind to one another. We're all in this together.
We'll be back tomorrow night live at 5:30.